Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for the Casper exam. So I had to write the Casper exam when I was applying to nursing school, and when I first heard about it, I wasn't really sure what it entailed or how to prepare for the exam. So because it's coming up around the time that when I applied to nursing, I would have had to think about preparing for the Casper, I thought that it would be a really good time to make this video to help out some of you that are going through a similar situation right now. Most health-related undergraduate and graduate programs require their applicants to take the Casper test. What is the Casper test? The Casper test is a situational judgment test that gives you hypothetical situations to see how you would react and respond to the situations. It's designed to see your communication and teamwork skills and how you react and respond to challenging and conflict situations. On the Casper test, you will be given 15 scenarios, and for each scenario, you must answer 3 questions. After each scenario is given, you only have 30 seconds to prepare your answer and then 5 minutes to type out your responses to the 3 questions associated with each of the scenarios. So that's not a lot of time. So this is why I think it is so important to prepare yourself before writing this test. When I wrote my Casper, we were given 100 to 120 minutes to complete the test, and we also were given the choice of taking 2 optional breaks. A big tip I found really helpful that worked well for me is to prepare beforehand. Many people may say that you don't need to study for the Casper, or you can't study for the Casper because you don't know what the questions are going to be, but being prepared and doing your work beforehand will definitely help your score greatly. I found when I did my research online, there tends to be top components or factors that they look for and they test on. So if you can think of possible scenarios or ways that you've displayed each of these factors, it can really help you when you're answering the question. So I'm gonna go through and say what these factors are that they are testing you on, and I think it would be really helpful to make some talking points for each of them or think of examples of how you develop these skills over time. So the factors-areas that they are testing you on are communication, motivation, collaboration, empathy, problem solving, professionalism, equity, resilience, and self-awareness. So like I had previously said, think about each of those areas and think about examples of how you show each one of them, or examples how you develop that skill, improved upon it. So like I had previously said, you are not given much time to think about your answer. Like we talked about, you only have about maybe 30 seconds before you have 5 minutes to answer 3 different questions and type it out. So my best advice is to look up online. I Googled practice questions and I looked up YouTube videos with practice questions, and start writing down on a sheet of paper little jot notes of possible answers or examples that you could use if you were faced with a similar situation question. Because it can be easier to think about a scenario, what you would do, but I found questions that could easily throw someone off is when they ask about your personal experience and to tell an example when you showed this specific trait or area. So that is where the preparing part is so important to save you time, and also it's going to make you feel less stressed or anxious if that question comes up asking you about something personal, but you've already prepared so you know what your answer is going to be. So first example that I found online. Explain a time you witnessed an unethical behavior. How did you react? What did you do? So that can be kind of tricky if you only have 30 seconds to draw back in your memory of when you witnessed an unethical behavior. So this is where the preparation is key. So think about that time, get out your jot piece of paper, write down a little jot note. So then if that question comes up, you're prepared and you're not wasting time trying to dig through your memory to think about that specific time, and examples for it. Second question is, describe a time when you showed resiliency and overcame something that seemed difficult at first. What was the outcome and what did you learn? See, again, that can be quite challenging if you didn't prepare ahead of time. So this is why I stress that it is so important to go through as many practice questions as you can, so you're decreasing the chance that you're going to be surprised when questions like this come up. So look them up, give a little example, so then you know right away and you're not wasting time. Another practice question that I found online was, describe when you dealt with a conflict in a group situation. What happened and what was the outcome? I can tell you right now that this was a question that I got on my Casper. So like I said, go through as many questions as you can and jot down your answers. Another helpful tip that I did to help increase my confidence was to do a typing test, because it's nice to kind of know what your baseline is or where you're starting off on with your typing ability, because with the short time to answer the questions, if you're slow on typing or that's an area that you need to do a little work on to improve upon before your test, that can be very helpful to know beforehand versus when you're in the test and you're not typing fast enough and then you're running out of time. So you can go online, Google a typing test, do the test, see how you do, and then you can identify if that's an area that you need to practice so that you get more efficient with it before you take your test. My other tip to remember is to try and keep your answers as concise, compelling, and clear as possible. So it's important with the time limit, and you have to answer 3 questions about the scenario, that you're not rambling on. Get to your point quickly, make sure it is clear to the reader, because I know that it can be tempting. You want to get a really good score to want to make your answers long, but you really don't have time to do that. So make sure that you're getting your main points out. I find it can be really helpful to think of it as you have a minute and a half for each of the 3 questions. And then if you kind of gauge it like that, that will give you 30 seconds at the end to quickly review your answers for obvious typos or grammar mistakes. And I know, side note, they are not marking on grammatical errors, but it's also important to, I find, set aside those 30 seconds, because if you have a bunch of errors or your sentence doesn't make sense, it's going to affect how the reader understands your answer, and you can get points deducted if what you meant to say doesn't come across to your reader who's marking you. So if you roughly look at it as, okay, I'm gonna have a minute and a half for each of my questions, and then that's gonna give me 30 seconds. It's also a nice way to, in your brain, know that you're not taking too long and be able to not get cut off and not be able to answer questions, because you want to be able to answer every single question. And my last tip is to look up and try and visualize what the format of the test looks like. So if you Google online and in various YouTube videos, they will give you an example where you can actually see like a video situation and get to do the practice questions. So I found that was really helpful, because it's nice to kind of have a visual of what to expect before the test. That is it for today's video. That's all my test tips for the Casper. Good luck to everyone writing it this year. It is not that bad of an exam, I promise. Prepare and go in ready to do the best that you can. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you all do super well on the test. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe so you don't miss an upload.